and today I'm coming at you with basically the fall of Black Ops 4 and everything wrong with Black Ops 4. We're gonna go into multiplayer, the campaign or lack thereof a campaign, the new mode, and then zombies, of course. So let's get right into it. So first off, we need to explain everything wrong so far with zombies as of right now, because zombies was definitely a pinnacle moment. Everyone was so hyped up about zombies, so let's just get right into it. So first off, zombies was a failure because of the fact that they introduced a whole new storyline that didn't even bother to finish up, really. They kind of just forgot all about it. And that was the Chaos story that followed Scarlet, Diego, Bruno, and Shaw. Basically, the storyline, although it was much easier to follow, basically an evil occultist was looking for, mythological artifacts that would rise the dead and create a huge evil army. The four must stop them. Eventually, basically 2 out of the 4 then become part of the cult after they are killed, and a ritual is made that turns them into these zombie loving cultists. But of course they don't want to show it because, well, they'd be killed. And then another one is killed by Medusa herself, because we have, Roman and Greek mythology mixed in here. So another killed. So basically there's one person left in the group. And they don't really get back to that either. They just kind of forget about the whole storyline. There's really no ending to it. It's kind of just done. It's basically just one and done right there. After that, they don't really go back into it at all. The Aether storyline, again, has been screwed up again. Alright, let's be honest here. The Aether storyline was hard to follow before, but now we got more, like, dirt on Dr. Monty, and now he's a good guy again, just trying to restore. Now he's just trying to continue this cycle, the zombie cycle, because now he just wants to live, and if that cycle is broken, that he cannot live anymore. The Shadow Man, still around. He still has a big pull. Dark Aether, still a huge thing. The Aether, not really talked about anymore. It's more just the Dark Aether. Agartha, still talked about. Samantha, nowhere to be found. Now we're going back in time with Classified, which, shows Primus and Ultimus crew, meeting up and now teaming up again. Not again, but teaming up now, so that screws up the storyline. The Canorium has been changed ever since Blood of the Dead, the first map where we see the Aether crew again. And now it's completely screwed. So we're just going to go right into it. So basically, first off, the whole storyline is now screwed, as now both the old characters and the new characters are now combined into one. Basically, now we're at Nuketown, and we go to Tag Toten, and all that stuff like that. So basically, the whole storyline's been screwed up yet again. Almost everything's been retconned again, because they can do that, because dimensions and stuff like that, they just change it as they please. Really, really annoying, to be 100% honest with you, but whatever, we're just not going to get into that right now. That will be a whole separate video of why the storyline is completely fucked at this point, and there's no point to just continue. Might as well just retcon the whole story, start fresh, because there's no point anymore. But now the zombies is pretty much out of the way, except for the large amount of ranting I'm going to do in a little bit. We're going to get into pretty much the zombies map just in general. No, not zombies map, just Black Ops 4 in general right now. So first thing we need to go over is the fact that DLC maps are not like they used to be anymore. And now all of a sudden now you must buy the season pass in order to get every single DLC except for Classified. Classified was its own special little thing. So now, basically, now you're going to have to pay a bunch of money. $49, basically the exact same amount of money it is to buy the game in general. Now you're going to have to spend on getting DLCs, for DLCs that aren't even that good. You have 2 Chaos Story maps, which are Night of the Dead, and then Ancient Evil. And then you have 2 more Aether storyline maps, which are Tag Toten and Alpha Omega. Both of the maps are decent in itself. I have not played them, but I've seen videos on them. They don't seem that bad. But anyways, the DLC maps for multiplayer are kind of bland and boring. They don't really do... They're not really that good in general. Again, just like we had Black Ops 3, a bunch of microtransactions that aren't needed at all. And the cash grab, buy track themselves, but whatever. But anyways, with that out of the way, and the fact that we know that they are, again, doing microtransactions just like they did in Black Ops 3 with the supply drops, although they're not supply drops anymore, it's a $49 DLC, you know, scam. Not really scam, I guess you get all the maps. I guess the value is the same, but still, you have to buy all the maps together or you just don't get them at all, which is kind of dumb. I guess it's a way to prevent players from playing the maps that they want and then not buying the rest. I guess that's the best answer I got, to be 100% honest with you. I don't know 100% why they would do that. But they did. So now we're stuck with that. Anyways, other than that, we're kind of just waiting on anything else. Although they have announced that they have completely finished Black Ops 4 and that there will be nothing else added except minor bugs here and there, like they did with Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 1 and whatever. You guys get the hint. But anyways, so they basically said that the game is all done. There's going to be no more big updates, which is really disappointing as this game still sucks ass. But I don't really see how the map could get any, like, the Black Ops 4 could get any worse. So we're gonna get right into the campaign, or lack thereof. There is no campaign. Not much I can really say. Something that's been a staple of Call of Duty, except for the zombies and the multi. So basically, a staple of it has been the campaign ever since Black Ops 1. The campaign, or World at War, has been a huge part of Call of Duty, the campaign. But Black Ops 4 was decided to get rid of campaign and put in a battle royale. Was the trade-off worth it? For a little bit. I mean, it was a hype. I mean, it was hyped up. No doubt about that. There were many people playing it. I played it for a little bit. It was a decent idea at the beginning, but unfortunately, by the end, you know, it kind of died out. I would have much rathered a campaign, because then, I mean, it's much more replayability. Black Ops 4 eventually is just gonna die out, and the campaign wouldn't. The campaign wouldn't. I mean, you can just keep playing the campaign, but unfortunately, Blackout would eventually. So there's gonna be no one playing it eventually, and then what's the point of that anymore? Again, I can understand why many people wanted it to be, you know, played and wanted to be in, because Battle Royale was still a huge thing when Black Ops 4 came out with Fortnite and PUBG and stuff like that. So I guess they wanted to get in on the cash grab. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in their favor very well, and they kind of failed at it entirely. Again, though, I guess I could see why they wanted in. As well, I mean, you need to make money somehow. I guess that was a decent way of making money for a little bit. Of course, there are many other ways you could have made money, and definitely going to a battle royale was definitely not the smartest idea. Again, though, it was a thing that they decided to make, which is really unfortunate. I really didn't believe that we really needed it, but whatever, it was in. So something with Black Ops 4 that I like to always put it with has always been the same thing. Oh, I'm getting a call. Oh boy, we gotta put this on hold for a little bit here, guys. That was a doozy. Alright, so we're back. So, again, going over why it failed. There's no campaign at all. Although, I'm not sure after the events of Black Ops 3's campaign, I'm not sure there'd be much of a complaint there. I'm pretty sure it's best that they didn't have a campaign, as the last campaign was a complete failure. Now, they tried to, like, tie it in with Black Ops 2, but it absolutely just failed miserably. So I'm not really sure if they're really gonna bother bringing it back. Maybe they will. If they do, I hope they know what they're doing, because that was Black Ops 2's campaign was awful. I played through it, and I was like, you're fighting more robots in people's minds than you are actually like fighting like real people. So I thought it was like kind of dumb. I totally lost in the campaign. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But of course, I chugged through it. I did it. It was awful. I never want to play that campaign again. So I'm not 100% sure that they're even going to bring back a campaign. Now we're going to go into the multiplayer. Now the multiplayer is a bit of a gray spot, as I really didn't find the multiplayer that bad. And by that bad, I mean it was pretty fucking bad. Now, the multiplayer is a great spot because some players hate it, some players don't hate it, with the selection of specialists and their own unique play style and stuff like that. Definitely a more variety than Black Ops 3. Unfortunately, it still was teetering on the edge of more advanced than it was, realistic. Now, they wanted another realistic shooter. Unfortunately, it didn't really turn out that way. If they didn't feel that way, it felt more like a game. It felt really confused on what era it was supposed to be in, whether it was supposed to be, a realistic shooter, or if it was supposed to be more non-realistic and kind of more futuristic. It was really hard to say what exactly the era it took place in, or what exactly it was supposed to be, more futuristic or not. I couldn't really tell. I couldn't tell you even if I wanted to. So I'm gonna assume that it kind of was in a gray spot, but I can't 100% say for certain. Now, multiplayer was decent enough. I'm not really gonna go into it, except the fact that David Von der Haar was not in it, as after Black Ops 3's colossal failure, he started to receive death threats, which I thought was very uncalled for, as he didn't even work on Black Ops 3's multiplayer all that much. He was more on the sidelines for that one. And he started to receive death threats, so he had to step down. But unfortunately, Treyarch didn't learn their lesson, and they decided to instead do the same exact thing again, but without David Von der Haar, the person who was really responsible for Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1 multiplayer being as well as it was. Unfortunately, they decided to continue using the same formula without him, and it just didn't work. So, unfortunately, the multiplayer was kind of a huge mess of characters and people running around. It supported the use of camping again with Torque. The characters were very unbalanced in their specialists. You had Zero coming in with the hacking thing, but it wasn't that good. You had Crash coming in with the 200 health, giving players a shit ton of ammo, which they didn't really need at all. Very unbalanced. They didn't really fix him at all, like players were requesting. Basically, it was a giant, colossal mess that they decided and just wrapped it up into multiplayer and decided to call it good. Unfortunately, it wasn't that very good. I can't really say anything for Blackout, as I never really played it that much. Unfortunately, it was another Battle Royale style game, something that a bunch of games were in nowadays. They kind of just decided to wrap it up and decided to become another sellout and decided to put in a Battle Royale. Unfortunately, the Battle Royale didn't work out so well in their favor. You could buy DLC characters, but unfortunately not many people bought it, and therefore it was seen as a failure instead of an actual win. They didn't get the Victory Royale on that one. But unfortunately, it just wasn't as good as everyone thought it would be. It was hyped way too much, And I think, honestly, it was not that good to begin with. It wasn't a good idea to begin with, and it certainly didn't pay off in the end when they decided to put it into action. I think the next thing we have to talk about here is the zombies. So zombies was not good. Not good. Now, zombies in the sense that the playstyle and everything that you had to do, we had to adapt to a whole new playstyle. Something that the formula we had that was perfected in Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 and World at War just kind of went out the window, and they kind of just retcon everything, or not really retcon it, but recall everything, kind of step back a little bit, which is fine. Stepping back from making a game, like, and just revamping everything like that because you had members leave the team and stuff like that is never a bad thing. I think that if people or staff leave that were a huge, like, thing on a game, trying to step back and revamp everything, trying to make it as normal as it could, while also trying to keep as much as the same as you can, while also trying to make it a little bit different, so you could actually play the game separately. It was definitely not a bad play the game, so you don't have to whatever. You know what, you guys get it. Trying to make the game as the same as you can, but also have to change it because the formula doesn't work if not everyone's there. But anyways, they tried doing this by changing up the perk systems and stuff like that. It didn't work out so well. So first things first, we need to take a step back and look at the perks itself. Now the perks every player would usually have on a Black Ops game was Juggernaut, Speed Cola, and Double Tap, or some other perk like that. So then after that, you had the three major ones, and after that it was kind of just a mix of whatever you wanted to put into it. Mine, because I played a lot of Die Rise, because Die Rise is not a bad map, no matter what anybody says. I used Juggernog, Stamina Up, Double Tap, and Who's Who, because I love the perk Who's Who. I like the idea of it, although the idea was really nice. It was a really nice idea, really cool concept. It kind of sucked, but I didn't really care, so I still used it. But anyways, so basically it was pretty much just not that good. I'd have to say that they could have made the map very different. I don't think that they executed the way that it should have been. I think that if they made it differently, and the fact that it wasn't this way, we could have been better. So we're gonna go over the perks first off. So the perks that we lost were Juggernog, Speed Call, and Double Tap, which we'll get into a little bit later. As they're not actually gone, but we'll get into those a little bit later. We lost PhD Flopper and stuff like that. And what perks did we get in return? Victorious Tortoise. Alright. We got Victorious Tortoise. What? So let's go, but we did get some good perks. We got Bandolier Bandit, we got Time Slip. Those were very good ones. Let's not forget about the good ones here. But let's be honest here. The perks that I'm using right now are the meta perks right here. These are the perks that you want to be using in a zombies game. But we're going to get into, everything about the perks. I have a lot to go over with the perks, or at least a lot, in my opinion, to go over with the perks. It might not be a lot. It might just be a little bit. But we're going to go over them right now. So basically, first off, we lost Juggernog. Now, why did we lose Juggernog? Well, we got the new system where we can actually see our health now. So now we know if we're about to die. That's great. Does it help with our health? No, it does not. But, whatever. They decided that this would be the right call. Probably to get rid of the meta. Anyways. Now, what about Double Tap and Speed Call? Now, they are technically in the game, although you have to get them a specific way. Double Tap, all you need to do is Pack-a-Punch a gun. As soon as a gun is Pack-a-Punched, you get the effects of Double Tap on it. It may not be double tap, and you may not lose it when you go down, but it's still nonetheless double tap. Double tap has been, you know, it's not as effective as it once was, but it's there. Speed Cola. Now, Speed Cola is a little bit of a gray spot on how you get it, but most people, as well as the developers, say that you just need all 4 perks. You just need all 4 perk slots filled with a perk in order to get Speed Cola. Now, I'm not 100% sure if that's really the case, as I haven't really seen much of a difference. I think it's just as long as you have a pack-a-punch gun, although mostly I pack-a-punch a gun before I get my 4 perks, so I have no idea. But regardless of what's going on here, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm pretty sure it's just getting all 4 perks. And then you get Speed Cola as a little hidden 5th one. Now, there are some wins with Black Ops 4. The fact that there's Bandolier, Bandit, Time Slip, Dying Wish, and Taunt, and Stone Cold Stronghold. Those are definitely good ones. Well, Stone Cold Stronghold, mostly if you're, like, making a last stand. If you are stuck in a tight little hallway with no escape, you just stand still. And then once the circle comes out, you kind of move around to the circle. You get a little extra shield. This is basically a camper's dream, or somebody who's stuck in a corner that really needs the extra shields. That's really all this perk is good for. But it's still a good perk nonetheless. I still use it a lot, actually. You get more shields from the more zombies you kill with a max of 350 shield. Or basically a little bar, which is not that effective if you think about it. In the long run, but still it could save your life for a little bit. You just need to get out of there as soon as possible. I mean, you can't just stay in that little circle forever. Eventually you're gonna die. But nevertheless, it's still not a bad perk. Bandolier Bandit increases ammo capacity as well. I don't know if it increases clip size, but I know it increases ammo capacity. That's about it for that one, which is still really nice. Time Slip. Basically pack-a-punching and spinning the mystery box, something that takes forever to do, now is very, very quick. I love that. I really do. But on that, I mean, there's not really much. Sure, it did have Blood of the Dead, a remake of what the fuck, Mob of the Dead, Jesus Christ, not Call of the Dead, which was very nice. I really did like it. There was also a Call of the Dead remake as well with the Green Run crew, which honestly was not that big of a win for me, but hey, whatever. But I mean, I guess that it wasn't that bad, to be honest with you. The zombies maps that we got. Again, the fact that they decided to add another story to it. Well, the Chaos story, which is basically a bunch of mythologies put into one. Evil cult wants to use a evil mirror-looking thing that affects people and turns them evil. Again, whatever. I mean, I think that's all fine and dandy until you realize that now we have 2 storylines that make no sense, which is okay. Basically, they add the story on the fact that now there's going to be, you know, we have, just like in 9, we could see that the 4 main gods they have gone over are Danu, some fucking Norse mythology god, I'm not 100% sure. We had Ra, the sun god from ancient Egypt, Zeus, you know, the god of gods. Or no, isn't that Kronos? We have the god of thunder, which is Zeus, or god of lightning, whatever. The god of the sky, okay? And then we also had, what's its face? We have another one. I'm spacing on the other one, but, doesn't matter. Why am I forgetting the other one now? Now this is really annoying. Anyway, and then there was another Norse god, I'm pretty sure, a Viking god. Spacing on the name, I'm not 100% sure why, but doesn't matter. I think the specialist abilities, where you don't need to actually get them from the box or create them, you just get the specialist abilities, they're very nice. I think the Ragnarok DG5 definitely needs to be toned down a little bit. But other than that, I mean, it's not that bad, I guess. I think that the fact that you can level up your specialist abilities is another very nice touch that they decided to add. I definitely think that was a good thing on their part. The fact that the fact that we have the Wraith Fire now is very nice. I love the Wraith Fire. It's definitely one of my favorite ones. The ones I have used a ton, because you can just put them by your feet while hitting the mystery box, something like that. And the fact that they can't hit you, they kind of just die. It's very nice. The weapons are terrible. Okay, let's just get that all out of the way. The weapons are awful. We're just gonna start with that now. So it's round 20. I have an LMG. You think it would be good? No, it's not very good at all. The problem is with this one is they decided to change up the point system entirely by now making it where now pretty much you can only get a max of 130 or 260 on a double points. That's all fine and good until you realize the fact that now you're not going to be getting points as much, and the fact that points weapons no longer matter, it's how much damage you do. Now you might think, oh, well, there's really powerful weapons in the box, right? Yeah, well, it's not like Black Ops 2 where there's like the really overpowered weapons and then the really weak ones, like there's no really overpowered ones like, you know, the staffs or whatever, what have you, the Liquefire. Okay, and there's no like bad weapons either. There's no like inherently bad weapons either, like the SMR or the M14 or the Olympia when it gets to the high rounds. The Olympia is pretty good. Or God forbid, even what's the fifth jet gun? Okay, we know that weapon's gonna be bad because, well, it was fucking awful. No, instead we got weapons that look good but are really bad. We got weapons that look bad and are really bad. Basically, there was no winning with this. There was no good weapon in Black Ops 4. They are all awful. They all do little damage. Okay? They all do very, very little damage. And I don't think it's very fair for, you know, the game to then make it so not based on damage, but all the damage has been very blatantly toned down. You can't even kill zombies effectively anymore. The one problem I have with this game is the fact that now zombies are very difficult to kill. And the system we have is now based on damage. And with a max cap. Meaning that points are going to be a lot harder to come by, as well as, well, they're just going to be fucking hard to get. The weapons are very, very ineffective against any sort of zombies at all. I don't think there's any good weapons. You can pack a punch these weapons, but they're also just as bad. You know, they're not any better. It takes 2 shots with a ray gun around 21, but it's pack a punch, and I'm against dogs. I think there's an issue when it takes 2 Porter X2 ray gun shots to kill a dog. Granted, it is round 21, but still, it should not be that bad. Now, I get the fact that Black Ops 3 had very unbalanced weapons, some weapons being very overpowered, like the bows and all the wonder weapons. But then they toned down the wonder weapons in this game to the point where they're not even worth it anymore. The only weapon I think is actually any good is the Tiger Shark, the Hades, and the Rampage. I think those are the only good weapons you can actually get anything out of in this game. And even then, they're pretty bad too. The maps are very, very small compared to Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3. Transit having, I think, the biggest map out of all of them, also being the worst. But the smallest map also is usually the best. Unfortunately, not in this instance. I don't think many players would, or any gamers in general, would be upset for me to make the assumption that this is all just because that they had several people leave the team after the events of Black Ops 3 and the fact that everything kind of flopped. Not with just zombies in general, but with any map or any game mode. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't really think that Black Ops 4 really got the recognition or the love that it deserved from the staff. I think this game could have been very good. Now, the game I like to compare this to is Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, in the sense that on the release date, it looked terrible. This game is almost the exact opposite. It was really good, it looked really good, but it was also really, really bad. Now, unlike the both of them, people everywhere came to the consensus that both games were terrible at the launch date. The difference is, though, is that Star Wars Battlefront 2 actually started consistently pumping out stuff and giving the players free DLCs because of the fact that they failed to give what they promised. So they decided to give out free DLCs. Of course, again, the game officially announced 2 weeks ago that it's officially done making any more content for the game, which is really sad, actually. But at the same time, it still came back from something that they never thought. Nobody ever thought that Star Wars Battlefront 2 would ever be able to recover, and they even thought that EA would make DICE pull the plug on the game back in 2018. It didn't, because it started pumping out consistent content that was actually worth playing. Not to mention, it was completely free for the fact that it was not supposed to be free, but it became free because of the fact that the developers and all of DICE were very disappointed in the fact that they couldn't make the game as good as they promised. So they decided to give out free DLCs and free content for every player. This, of course, is what made the game so much better, is the fact that now you didn't have to you didn't have to make microtransactions in order to get the full gaming experience. This is something that Call of Duty Black Ops 4 did not do. They knew the game was trash, but instead of making it so now, you get, free DLC or something like that because the game was just awful, instead they decided to make it so now you have to pay for all the DLCs, which I guess is okay. It's downloadable content. Of course, that's kind of the point of it. Add-ons to the game. It's not really part of the main game. But instead decided to make it so now you have to pay for everything in order to get a full gaming experience. Yes, instead of making it so now, you could just pay for any DLC you want, they decided to make it so you have to pay for all of them. Basically, paying for the game twice in order to get, not that much content. Again, the maps were very small, very little to do, although the zombies maps did have a bunch to do with the storyline, which of course is always something that players are interested in. It didn't really show anything that was worthwhile, paying $49.99 for it. Of course, you had to pay for the season pass in order to get the rest of the DLCs, but they did include Classified for the low price of just $5. I bought it, and that's what I'm playing right now because I thought this map would be good. It's really, really subpar. I think it's not really that good. I mean, it's quite fun sometimes if you can get some buddies on. I have no insane people who actually decided to pay a cent for this game more than they needed to, which I guess it makes complete sense. I was the only crazy one. But anyways, I don't really think that this game really tried hard. Just like in Star Wars, though, decided to pump out consistent DLCs and continue to update their staff as well as everyone else. Now, of course, the only problem with Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the fact that that makes Star Wars Battlefront 2 more impressive than this game is the fact that even through the fact that most staff and more creative design executives from DICE who were making the game, they decided to leave the company because of, the game wasn't going their way at the beginning, and they thought that this would be the end. Many people would get laid off because they need money. So many people just decided to take it upon themselves to leave. But the game still bounced back, and I'm still getting text messages right now. Who is texting me? I'm getting a text telling me to go to bed. Okay. But anyways, so the reason why I'm comparing it is the fact that even though Call of Duty did not have these many setbacks, except for David Vonderhaar, which would only affect the multiplayer, Star Wars, the fact that a bunch of people left would have affected the whole game, but still made it so the game lasted 3 years. One of the longest running Star Wars games ever made, in the sense that they decided to keep pumping out content, even though the fact that they were the underdogs in the whole situation. They could have just stopped it right there and said, we're done, because there's no way we're going to be able to push it through. No way. There's just nothing you can do about it. You know, people left, lead designers left, but they still decided to push it out and made a fucking awesome game that lasted 3 years. Of course, eventually, the fact that staff left and the fact that there's nobody else coming to take the place of the lead executive designer, of course, eventually that will take a toll on the company and DICE in general, and eventually they had to cut their losses and say, we can't do this anymore, there's just no way, which makes 100% sense. But they decided to push through and make another free DLC, one of the updates, one of the biggest updates, including 5 new hero skins, all that stuff like that. But this isn't about Star Wars, so we're not going to get into that. We'll get into that later when I actually get the game again in 5 days, because I forgot to bring it with me. Oof. But anyways, even with all of these, setbacks, they still lasted 2.5 years. Or 1.5 years, actually, because it was mid-2018 when this all happened. But they still pushed back. Call of Duty did not, though. In fact, they tried to make it another cash grab. Unfortunately, it did not work out in their favor. Many players were just not having it anymore. And, well, everything went downhill from there. I think we can all safely say, though, the fact this game made it as far as it did is very surprising. This game was very shit to begin with. The only reason why I'm even playing this game now is because I wanted to get, coverage of the game that I'm talking about. Usually, I just thought this game deserved a little bit more respect. Whether or not there is another... I know after the last 2 games completely fell on its side, I think the only thing that really saved Black Ops 3 was zombies. I don't think the campaign saved it, and I'm pretty sure the fact that there were exo jumps in Black Ops 3 definitely did not help Black Ops 3 in any way, shape, or form with the multiplayer. I think, let's be 100% honest here, I don't think the multiplayer was anything stellar either. But the fact that they lived as long as they did was incredible for Star Wars. But I personally don't think that they're going to make a Black Ops 5. I think they'll try to rebrand. I think that's best for Treyarch right now, as Black Ops has kind of taken a nosedive ever since Black Ops 3. Again, you can't even go Black Ops 2 anymore because they're hackers, but because they already announced the game has been completely finished and that there's nothing else that they're going to do for it, now there is absolutely nothing that us players can do about the rising group of hackers, just like in World at War. You'll be lucky to get on tried to get on a game a couple days ago, and I just found hacker after hacker after hacker. You can't even go a game now without hackers, which is really unfortunate, because Black Ops 2 was my childhood game. I played that a lot. I remember getting my first gold weapon, which was the Remington shotgun. I worked so hard. I worked about a year to get it because I was still really trash at the game. I still am now, but I mean, I guess I'm a little bit better. But I don't know. I hate to see a Black Ops game like this suffer so much, as Black Ops was always a part of my childhood. The reason why I'm even giving this game the benefit of the doubt and saying that it's not a complete fucking waste of time is because it was a childhood game, and it's definitely something I cherish. Well, this game isn't really childhood, but it's definitely a game that I cherish because it's a Black Ops game. Just like Black Ops 3. I know I put a lot of hours in Black Ops 3 multiplayer just because of the fact that I love the guns, stuff like that. I loved specialists, something that we'd never seen before. But honestly, if they do decide to make a Black Ops 5, if they continue on the way that they're going, they're gonna bankrupt their Treyarch, stuff like that. They're gonna bankrupt them. There's just no point anymore. I don't see really a point to continue on beating around a dead bush. I think they should just rebrand completely, fix their fucking formula for these games, and get back on track. And I'm getting spammed with messages right now. Hang on. let's be honest here. I don't think this game. I don't know. I just think that they could have done so much better, but they just didn't. So that's pretty much it for me, guys. I'll talk to you all later.